Welcome to the fifth episode of Innerstand2Ascend. We had a little bit of technical difficulties here at first, so we are running 6 minutes late, but that's all right because sometimes we have to wait for the best. So today I'm having a wonderful guest, a really good friend of mine. I think we met sometime in June or July, I think. So it's been a couple of months already. Um, Well, maybe I'm just going to kind of let Rashi introduce herself and kind of tell her a little bit about, what brings her here as well.
Thank you, Olivia. Hi, everyone. My name is Rashi, and you can call me Rashi. Actually, I met Olivia on July, yes, because I saw one of her videos. She was having an interview with someone, and the moment I saw her and I heard her, I had this feeling of joy. It's like meeting someone you knew, you didn't know how, you didn't remember, but just the feeling that it's kind of, wow, I know this person, but I don't remember. Um, and I dreamed of her the same night, and we were like talking, and she was like giving me tips and teaching me techniques, and I just knew I had to contact her. So I did, and I think I just followed my intuition, and I'm glad I did because um, she's young, earthly, in earthly years she's very young, but she's a very very a wise person, and a very old soul. Like, I learn a lot from her, and just being like around and sharing frequencies. So I'm so glad to have met her and share some path in this journey, which is very exciting.
Absolutely, we had a lot of powerful meetings together. But if we go back a little bit in your journey, how would you say your journey of awakening has started for you?
Wow. Um, when I was young, I'm 42, okay? So when I was young, like a teenager and early 20s, I was too much in the rabbit holes. So I was too much in conspiracies, etc. And I just had this feeling that something wasn't right. But then I think I went too far in the rabbit hole, so I just shut everything down, and I just decided to go by life and just to live intuitively, but just to stop watching all the conspiracies, etc., but always following my heart and my intuition. So I traveled a lot. I've been in many places, and then I discovered that these places are very important grids, like India or Greece or near Turkey, Spain, and now France. And then all started in 2020 with the COVID, you know. So it's like I was in a very deep sleep, and then I just woke up, and I just woke up, and I it's like I discovered that I am living a lie in my relationship, in my job, in my everyday life, and I knew that something wasn't right. And then they started with the bookie book, and they started warning people. I didn't know why, but I had to warn people, like to tell them, no, don't put nothing in your body. This is something is off. Anyway, so then I started what they call the dark night of the soul. It was very difficult, very hard. I think my higher self needed to shake me because my hologram crashed. Everything crashed in my life, and I had to go inside. I had to go inward and to come back to myself And then the real journey started when I discovered that I needed to work on myself if I want to see change around me. And that brought me to the self love, then the soft love, then the tough love, and maybe the omni love.
Well, I'm having chills in my heart chakra. I
I'm
think
trying
that's
not to
important.
cry, okay?
Deep breaths, as we were saying before the show. Anyways, I think that's important for people to know because um, many of those who begin their spiritual journey, they experience a lot of very sudden changes in their hologram. And then they get very much confused, like, what am I supposed to do next? Everything around me has crashed. What would be the advice you would give to those people who are experiencing such things? Because I've been hearing and kind of seeing around me that for many people it's been very challenging um, with kind of managing spirituality and also trying to kind of integrate it with their 3D life. What kind of advice would you give to them to kind of get out of this dark night of the soul?
Maybe two words: lesson and gift. Everyone you meet and everything that happens in your life, in my life, it's a lesson, and at the same time, it's a gift. Why? Because what is awakening? What is responsibility? Responsibility is to be responsible, is to be response able, to go out, to get out of reaction, and to be able to have a response. Um, so you are not a victim anymore when you understand that everyone you meet in your life, somehow you decided it on a higher level. You decided to meet people that hurt you, and you decided to meet people that love you. You choose your children, and your children choose you. Some lessons you decided before you come to this incarnation, and then the perspective changes. It's like we're having a 3D perspective, and then it completely changes, and you see the same situation or the same person in a different way. Um, and I don't like to use the word forgiveness, because forgiveness, it's like you have a power over someone, but just you get to this place of acceptance and surrender, and you have this knowing, this inner feeling that the God source or the creator, whatever you want to call it didn't bring us here or wherever to make us suffer. So you love your life, you embrace your experiences, you embrace everything that happened to you, and then you start living and surrendering. Whatever happens, maybe there is a reason, maybe there is not, maybe I will know the reason, maybe I will never know the reason, but having this knowing that everything is being taken care of by your higher self, and by God's source.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think many people will find it very inspiring in their journey. Um, for a few weeks, along with my friend, on the show that we are doing every Sunday, we were talking about the virtues, and one of them is the responsibility. And you kind of put this word together really nicely, the responsible. So you basically respond to any kind of challenge that this hologram is basically trying to overwhelm us, right?
Yes.
So that's one of the things. Well, today's topic that we'll discuss a little bit. The topic of this episode, I forgot to mention in the beginning, are the secrets of the Nomi Rainbow Riders. And some of those who already kind of feel the chills on their body when they hear the name Nomi and the Rainbow Riders, that already kind of suggests that you are actually one of them. So We will take a look first at what is the Nomi code itself. I will give a couple of information I gathered from my notes, from my notebooks that I'm having all over the place. And then we'll discuss a little bit about the rainbow plasmas, because I know you have quite a few of interesting experiences with them, so you will share them along with us. But first of all, I will just give like a short introduction to what the Nomi code is. So basically, the Nomi code, it basically holds the encryption of all of the angelic human tribes. We've got this, when the angelic human prototype was created, we had these 5 cloister races, the 7 root races, I won't be even getting into that, and the 12 main tribes, and each of the tribes was corresponding to a certain stargate, to a certain area on the planet, and had the coding that was actually corresponding to the encryption of that place. So the Nomi code actually holds the coding, the encryption for all of the angelic human tribes and races. So it's kind of like you may feel a connection to a certain tribe, but you actually hold the coding for all of the tribes. So it's kind of also like a stealth code. You have it and you got the coding of all of the races. And the Nomi code also includes something called the K+8 factor. And the difference between the K+8 and the Nomi factor is the fact that the K+8 factor is actually the ability to process all of the plasma currents from Sun 8 to Sun 1. So it's allowing for this, it's actually also called the transfiguration factor, because it's allowing us to get the Sun 8 plasma frequency, which is protecting us from any kind of reverse plasma currents that are running all over the grids. So if you already kind of feel like, I have it, maybe, that means you probably do. There's like a certain feel to it. If what I'm saying right now kind of brings you it triggers some memories or some specific feelings, it's already kind of indicating that you might have a certain connection to these kind of lines that have this K+8 factor. When it comes to the Nomi code, the Nomi code is kind of like the K+8, along with the coding of all of the races. So the Nomi code, I would say, is also like an expanded version of the K+8 factor, which is really cool. So when we think about the origins of the Nomi code, the Nomi code was actually added to our human lineage during the seeding free of the angelic human race. So it was added about 800,000 years ago, because that's when the seeding free started. And the reason why it was added is because there was a certain planetary galactic situation here, where if anything wouldn't work out, just like it quite didn't, we are basically going to have something called the failsafe. And the failsafe will allow us to actually kind of like, we can imagine like it's a reset of the whole cosmos. The cosmos is coming back to its original encryption. It's coming back to the source. So this line, which was holding the Nomi code, it was holding the potential for this to happen on a planetary and galactic and cosmic level. Originally, when this time matrix, when this galaxy has been created 950 billion years ago, they actually seeded a specific race, which were kind of like, let's say, pre-angelic humans. They were called the Aquaria Nomia ephemeral gene codes. And once they were seeded, there was already this potential for this ascension to take place, this fail-safe type of ascension in our galaxy, because otherwise, if this line wasn't seeded, our planet would already be in the fall state. But thanks to the Nomi seed carriers, Nomi gene, we also have the Nomi seed of the planet, which is kind of like a planetary version of the Nomi code, which is in our DNA template. But what did I want to say here? Right. So thanks to the fact that this has been seeded on the planet, the Nomi code, we are having this connection with the core Krystar and with all of these frequencies that we need in order to complete the fail-safe ascension. So this is allowing us to go as high as we need to. And this Nomi code is actually going even, I would say that it's kind of like the highest coding that you can imagine in the whole Cosmoverse, because the Nomi code is going to a very specific council called the Nomia Usetra, Urea, Alhumbra races. And these are the host masters councils. So a host master is the master of hosting. So it knows how to assist planets, which are in very complicated false situations. They basically assist these systems to get out when it's needed. When a certain system basically reaches a point where it can no longer hold the Krystar code. So kind of like the Nomi code can override any distortions that progressively would start to appear in the Krystar code. So it's basically our code, kind of like a rescue code as well. And in the past, most of the humans actually had this coding, because this was actually the original coding of the angelic human prototype, and it still is. But because of the breeding, a forced breeding that took place between different fallen angelic groups and other angelic humans, right now, only a few million of people on this planet are actually the carriers of this Nomi gene. So I wouldn't say that this potential has been lost, but right now not as many people as in the past have it anymore. So there are some people, and those who are the carriers of the Nomi code, that's very important to know, because we might think that it's like a very spiritual kind of a person, but not necessarily. The Nomi code carriers, I will talk a little bit about that later as we move on through the questions, but they are in military, they are in the police, in social service. They are put in certain places to basically spread that frequency of the Nomi code to others. That's one of the things that they are doing along with the 3D jobs. And they might never be aware of that until they eventually transition, that they were the carriers of the Nomi code, but they have it very strongly embedded in their template. So, so that's one of the things when it comes to the Nomi code. It's allowing people who are not even necessarily very conscious to be able to process a very, very high spectra of very high plasma currents. And actually one of these currents, I say one of these currents because a Nomi code carrier can basically process any type of a plasma. But a very special type of plasma is the rainbow plasmas. The rainbow plasmas, or actually the plasms, because this is kind of like a pre-plasma state of matter, that's even something before the 8 plasma suns of internal creation. The rainbow plasmas are very special in a way because they actually first anchor in our plasma template, then they are going to our epigenetic overlay, which is kind of like a layer surrounding our physical body DNA template. And the epigenetic overlay is very important when it comes to all different kinds of attachments, our beliefs, everything is saved in our epigenetic overlay. So we have a lot of power when it comes to creating it. And then from the epigenetic overlay, this Nomi code can actually, and the rainbow plasmas, because basically the Nomi code is allowing for the flow of the rainbow plasmas. Later on, it is going to the physical body DNA. And the Nomi code is also actually the transfiguration factor. So those who have the Nomi code can actually make a different type of transition. They don't need to leave their physical body, they can take it along with them. That is one of the possibilities of the Nomi code carriers. Okay, so I talked a little bit about the Nomi code. So I would like to ask you, Rashi, what has been your experience with the rainbow plasma, since I know you've been having quite a few observations with it, and also your son has been seeing the rainbow orbs. That's a really interesting story, so I would
Yeah.
like you to share.
Yes, it was very funny because I teach him as I taught my older daughter how to activate the love bubble, the pink infrared bubble. So we have a kind of ritual every night. Um, because you have to know that my son is 4 years old, but he's allowed and he knows that my room is a safe place. And if he's afraid at night and he can come and sleep next to me, he knows this. So, and my daughter also, even she's 15 years old, she has a place in my room, and she knows that every time she doesn't want to sleep in her room and she doesn't want to be alone, they know that this room of their mother, which is I turned it to a kind of sacred place, they know that they can come whenever they want. So at night we have a kind of ritual. We do the activate the pink bubble, But 1 week ago, I think, when we talked about the rainbow plasmas, I said nothing to my son. I didn't mention this subject, and we were like watching the roof, and he usually sees orbs, blue pink orbs. And that night he told me, Mom, I'm gonna give you another idea. Instead of activating a pink bubble, I see in the roof a lot of rainbow bubbles. Why can't we this night activate a rainbow bubble? And I was laughing like, oh my gosh. And I told him, how many? He said, one, two, three. It's maybe four or five, but they are moving all over the place. And he was like, wow. He told me, "Don't worry, mom. They are here to take care of us. To take care of us over the night." I told him, "Okay, it's okay for me." So I found this very interesting, since you told me that we are having rainbow frequencies activations. So I think that he picked this, and he could saw these orbs, rainbow orbs. And another experience I had personally, it was the day of the spiral split.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the sunset, and all over the sky I was seeing this kind of dust, or like very very thin mist of very rainbow heliochaic or heliochroic frequencies in the sky. And I tried to take a picture, but it doesn't show in the picture, but I could see it with my own eyes. So I think it was kind of frequencies coming from arrayas or something like that. Not sure.
Araya, probably.
Araya, right? Araya is Earth and Araya. No, Araya is Earth and Araya is the Sun, or is the other way around?
I think that Araya is, yeah, Araya Earth is the planet, right? The future version of Earth in the Elysian fields. So
Yes.
kind of in this when we talk about the Elysian fields, these places are actually located in something called the Aurora Continuum. And if it doesn't say anything to you, you can kind of imagine that these are kind of like the in-between planes. So if we've got like dimension 1 and dimension 2, then in between, let's say we have the Aurora Continuum. So these are kind of like the in-between planes. And also the Elysian fields are called the Christic playground of eternal creation. And why is it a playground? That's because you can actually create anything that you want in there. Um, all of the Christic creations are possible to be manifested in there. So it's kind of like once you get through a certain level of ascension, because there is not just one ascension. Like we think about, okay, so when I ascend, I will go back to God source, but it doesn't exactly work like that. There are different levels of ascension. There is the ascension to Median Earth, then actually we've got the Araya in the Elysian fields. So it's one of the places where it's just beautiful. There's this one journey called the Journey to the Rainbow Reservoirs, and that's actually on Araya, right?
Yes, yes, it was amazing because the feeling of this journey the first time, it was like one year ago, and when I did it like today, the feeling is stronger. I could feel everything. I could feel this the golden frequencies coming through the feet. I could see other bubbles around me, the rainbow frequencies in the complex. It was very strong. I mean, I could feel it all over my skin, and I keep this frequency till now. Like I'm talking to you, and I'm still seeing. I don't know if it's your frequency, but I still have like this. It's kind of rainbow, but it's kind of rain. You know, it's
Yeah,
like it
I was
appears
actually
and
also in that
disappears.
place today. Just so everybody that is watching us knows, we went to the Rainbow Reservoirs without realizing that we actually would come across each other in that place. So that was a really nice synchronicity out there, right?
Yeah. Yes. It was amazing, and I suggest to anyone who can do this journey, because yeah, the feeling of bliss and harmony. I mean, you'll forget any 3D drama. Like, oh, okay, whatever, it can wait.
Absolutely. And I think that anyone could do this. Anyone who can at least like well, I think it's a 1 hour long journey, right? So
Yes, almost.
well, it gives a certain feeling of sensation where, as much as when I was doing other projections, it also felt really good. That one felt special because it actually felt very familiar to me. And then what is very interesting is the first time I did this journey was actually on the Christmas Eve. I was
Wow.
just about to sit by the family table when it's like before that I was like, okay, I need to kind of uplift my frequencies and protect the house from the people coming in. So I did this journey and then I just spread these rainbow plasmas like all over my house. And then I was sitting by the table with my family members, but I was still there. Like I just felt like my plasma body didn't fully come back from this journey, and I was seeing also kind of these not exactly orbs, but the rainbow sparkles.
Yes.
Um, but coming back to what your son was saying, I do believe that it was an orb visitation actually of the guardians from Araya.
Wow.
Um, these specific rainbow orbs, they've been actually I do remember that there was one friend of mine who was also actually saying that her daughter saw the rainbow orbs. So I think that they like children very much. And children are also very kind of like, I would say, sensitive, more sensitive to this type of frequencies.
Yes, because I am more of feeling, but I know that's my son and a lot of children. Um, they see a lot. So if your child is telling you that he sees someone or something, you better believe him or her.
Totally. Well, that brings me to a question. If you could share a little bit more on how you're actually because there's been also quite a few people asking me how can I assist my children during these important times, how can I introduce different kinds of aspects of spirituality and these teachings to their lives. We are also going to be talking about next week about the conscious parenting, so if you could give a little bit of your perspective.
Well, actually, there's no manual to parenting. I mean, You don't get a child with a book and explaining you how to do and what to do. I think the best we can do is try our best and to follow our intuition. So, and I do also respect the free will. So I don't want to violate their free will, because they are souls too. They have higher selves, and even if they are children, they can decide by themselves. Actually, it's not because your child is not your property. It's not one of your furniture. It's a person, it's a human being. It has feelings, it has sensations, it can decide, it can be angry, it can be happy, etc. And they have free will. So actually, since our children observe a lot our attitudes, how we do, how we act, how we talk, so I try to walk the talk, uh, if we can say. I do a lot of activities, both of them like painting and drawing. So I use the virtues codes. I have them printed without color. So I use the virtue codes as activity to paint and to color. And every time the result is completely different. I also printed the virtues codes, and I think the chismatic codes,
Yes,
uh,
yes.
I printed them in the transparencies, and I stick them to the windows, so every time there is light or sunshine, it shines. And you know that these drawings, they are sacred geometry. They are consciousness, so they react with your environment, they react with the grid. And since you are living with your children, you are creating a shield. So everything you are doing on yourself, it's affecting your children. So I do work a lot on myself, and I know since we are related genetically, so they're gonna pick up the frequencies. And I also put a lot of songs, and we dance. We dance a lot.
Beautiful. Well, I would
And
say that you are not related just genetically, but also energetically. I remember us discovering that your son actually used to be your father in your previous life, right?
yes, yes.
So that
And
was mhm,
and
go
you
ahead.
know, I like to, when I was young, I used to write and create stories for bedtime for children, so I use some of the freedom teachings and the knowledge from the guardians, and I added to the stories I tell my children at night, so to help them remember that they are sovereign, that they have a soul. They need to protect their fields. They need to say what they think, to express their feelings. If they feel angry, they have the right to be angry. If they are afraid, they have the right to feel afraid and to speak about it. So I try to keep this trust. Relationships, they know that they can tell me everything, and they know that I will also share with them, and if I am wrong, I will recognize that I am wrong. So I was trying to tell my son that in one of the lifetimes he was my father. So I invented a story, a bedtime story, and he when I finished, he just looked at me and he told me, "Come over here, come over here, lay." And he told me, "Come, put your head here in my shoulder." So I said, "Why? Because I'm big, I'm so heavy." He told me, "No, no, I know I was your father."
Beautiful.
I know, Mom, I know I was your father. This is why I am here. And now I'm going to take care of you. Just sleep in my shoulder. And I started crying, He told me, "Why are you crying?" So
Beautiful.
it was very emotional, but um, actually, I have nothing to teach my children, and no one it has nothing to teach their children. It's a mutual exchange. And I can tell you, with 42 years, I have learned a lot being around my children. And the biggest lesson maybe for me is the age really doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with age. It has to do with attitude and your um, how you come to life, how you act with life. And children are very open to life, to joy, to freedom. And we start putting them in boxes, um, and we forget the essence of freedom that they have and we also had. And maybe our parents or culture made us forget, but maybe we should relearn ourselves or reparent ourselves so we can give other opportunities and better opportunities for our children, because they are the future.
They are the future of the new earth, right? And it's good to realize that actually the relationship between the soul of a mother and a child, and actually also father and a child, doesn't matter. Um, it's actually a pre-agreement. So
Yes.
I've been even having that vision with my mother once, actually, like just our souls kind of hanging in the air. And I think that if we were looking at the timeline, I think we were kind of looking at the 80s or something like that, because I passed away at the end of the 70s, and then it took me a bit to kind of decide, okay, well, I need to reincarnate again, right? Or more like I was a bit pushed to that to kind of complete what I didn't finish. And I was like, well, it's not my time anymore, but we are going to meet. And then I became her daughter. So
Wow.
it was a certain level of pre-agreement. I came back to these memories of my fetal integration. So to some degree, for me, it was a trauma to incarnate on this planet, but I've been always feeling safe in my mother's energetic field, because that's how it was arranged originally. Many people sometimes, because of miscarriage and because of different circumstances that happen on the way, they end up incarnating very fast, and then they are not really with the person they are actually supposed to be with. And that's also for some reason, but then that's causing a certain amount of chaos, I would say. I've been having that woman I've been working with, and she actually wasn't supposed to incarnate in her body, and she was born in the Vatican City, so it's been already a lot of contracts put on her ever since she was born, actually, or even before she was born. So everyone incarnates in different circumstances, and it's good to consider that. But as long as a mother is approaching her pregnancy in a conscious way, that she's actually not just expecting a child, but like a conscious soul, a free soul with free will, then it actually gives a totally different perspective. And very often a mother has a connection with her child in previous lives, whether they were sisters or just best friends, or actually there could have been like a reversed kind of a relationship, that the daughter was a mother and the mother was the daughter. So it really depends on every case actually needs to be looked individually. However, that's a very interesting topic that you have brought up.
Yes,
Thank you for
especially
that.
human, angelic human. I mean, now about when we are having our period each month, we usually used to have it each 3 years. And having a child, it was a conscious decision, choosing the time, and it was all a ritual and ceremony to receive the soul of the child or the fetus, because it was a conscious agreement. And they knew the soul is coming, they knew its past lives, etc. And with all the hijacking of the angelic human and playing with the genetics and wanting to bring to Earth a lot of mixed beings, or more of FAs. So they were playing with genetics. This is why they encourage breeding and breeding and breeding and interbreeding. But when you think that, oh, I had to prepare for my period each 3 years, it's a huge thing. I mean, imagine.
It's like a sacred celebration, right?
Yeah. And
It's
now
it's
we're having, I mean, they have played with the angelic human, especially women, in, all the story.
yeah, it's quite a thing. Um, I had my experience for a bit in Atlantis with different fractions feeding off with the feminine energy, but I was one of these lucky ones to kind of manage to run away from that trap. But many women weren't lucky enough to get out like this. I managed only because I knew kind of how to direct the energy in a certain way, because they literally kidnapped me when I was like a priestess of a certain place. So Atlantis was a very dangerous place. Um,
Yes.
it's been a mess. But what you said, it's actually also related to the fact why we don't have so much of the Nomi code carriers on the planet anymore. That's also because of that forced interbreeding, and also it's related to something called the living light quotient. Normally, we should have 100% of the living light, which is called the Shalaya. The dead light is called the Shona, and the difference between the living light and the dead light is that the Shalaya is a triveka. So it has basically these two cells and one at the top. And they are phasing. That means they spark and they basically generate different sorts of currents. They are self-sufficient because they receive the connection from the source. But the difference with the Shona dead light fields is that basically when you have these two cells at the bottom and one cell at the top, these two ones are basically being forced together and they feed off from that central one, and then they are in this Vesica Pisces position. So one is overlaid on the other. There is no of this third element, which is the 0 point, which connects to the source. And that started to happen on a cellular level, actually. And now we have this very messed up situation also with the living light quotient, where certain people, they are referred to as the biotes, mobiotes, probiotes. They basically hold a big level of the dead light. Because even indigos right now, the reason why we are still here is because we have certain amounts of the dead light in our bodies. But let's say as long as we've got like 80%, well, let's say 75 to a certain degree of the living light, it's still, the situation is manageable. But when it comes to the like 50-50 Chalet and Shona and lower, the situation gets very twisted. And that's when your consciousness is also twisted to a degree. That's when also this all of these elemental flows in our body get really distorted. So certain problems with the light fields in our body are also blocking our access to some of the organic frequencies. So that's also a reason why we don't remember who is the child that is coming to this world. That's why also the memory matrix is so distorted, that some people might be receiving holograms on who they were in the previous lives, because there were literally like false information encoded and actually twisted along with this Shona deadlight field. So that's one of the things, one of the factors that is actually something that actually we might start clearing with the rainbow plasmas. I will just quickly share my experience here. I think that was my number 3 when it comes to the journey to the rainbow reservoirs. It was my third time there. And suddenly I was in that central pillar that started clearing me with the golden light. And all of my body cells started to hurt. And I really felt like screaming. It was like as if each one of my cells was in pain. But that feeling stopped after 2 minutes. And then I asked the guardians what that actually was, and they said that my cellular and atomic structure actually was being healed. All of the toxins that this Shona deadlight fields in my body started to collect to my body. They actually started to get removed, as if like there was like a moment when I saw that something is getting vaporized out of my body. So that was quite of an experience, but there is like a really wide field of what we can do with the rainbow plasmas.
Yes, it's actually protecting from the dark flowering, which is emanating from the black hole, and really, it's. I feel like it's putting a kind of protection. It's a kind of shield that you don't get more dark flowering, and you connect more to the origin of Earth, which is Andromeda M31, right?
Exactly. Yes, you are very correct, especially when it comes to um, what it's doing with that dark flower affliction, because basically the dark flower in our template later kind of turns on these dark flower flows in our body. So this reversed energy starts to run all over the place. And so actually it starts, as I said, with the frequency running through the plasma template. The rainbow plasmas first reach the plasma template, and then they go to the epigenetic overlay. And the issue with the epigenetic overlay has been going on for centuries, because that's where all of these heavy patterns, karmic patterns as well, actually, have been held. The epigenetic overlay can be very easily programmed. And also actually reprogramming the epigenetic overlay is also about changing our beliefs. The epigenetic overlay is holding a pattern, actually it's holding a full ancestral imprint as well. So all of these kind of heavy contracts that we had from our previous life, spells or family curses, they are all there. So now when we think about it, the rainbow plasmas, I would say you can connect it along with the contract breaking. So you can, let's say, first break all of your contracts, or actually run the rainbow plasmas first, do the journey to the rainbow reservoirs. And if you've done it once already, you can always call in these frequencies to your body. Kind of just lay down, imagine how they felt when you were in that journey, and you can just breathe them into the heart of a female, or kind of just like quickly project a part of your plasma body there. And once you've basically create a circuit of rainbow plasmas in your template, you can later on start the contract breaking. And that creates like I would say like a very powerful combo of frequencies where you express your divine free will, and at the same time you are actually clearing your template from all of these distortions that this epigenetic overlay is holding. So that's one of the things that we can definitely do.
This is wonderful. I also tried it, when you, in one of your shows, you talked about the Kali chamber and the Bardo chamber, which is
Right.
your future and past, and future selves and past selves. So I tried to do this also. Like I just send them some rainbow frequencies to my past selves and future selves at the backflow. It was very it was a very strong backflow. It was like, wow, give me more. It was amazing.
That's actually so powerful. Thank you for sharing that, because actually you can do it as well. And this way, even if you didn't have the Nomi code in one of your previous lives, because there's a possibility that you didn't, you can always send this rainbow frequency to activate in one of your past incarnates, and it may help a lot in whatever may happen at those times. So we are actually turning the failsafe and the Nomi code in all of the past timelines as well, as we are healing our template. And if we do that with this specific intention, that's definitely the thing. So thank you so much for sharing that.
You inspired me actually, because the day you talked about the Kali chamber and the Bardo chamber, I used it every time I go to some journey. I call these two chambers and I share frequencies, the aqua vapor, the violet, the emerald. I try to share, like, get some guys. Remember who we are. And I also, as I told you last time, it can work. I think it can work for the fetal integration moments. If you journey to the moment of the fetal integration, and if you create a space, a safe space in a bubble, you can invite your children, higher selves, or someone, or a friend, or a family member. You can invite their higher selves to participate in any healing you are doing, and especially your children for the fetal integration, and yourself, because it's very traumatic experience, and we carry this experience of separation from the soul family, or where we were feeling love and harmony and peace, and come into incarnation. So it's very traumatic, and you can use the rainbow frequencies. I think, I feel like you can use it also for this.
Yes, because the energy of the hospitals and even the vaccinations themselves, right? They are messing up with the DNA template. So before, if you got your child vaccinated and then you found out after the time that it's not so good, you have the power as a creator to create your past and create your future from from the moment of the present, as I teach on many of my videos. And you can come back to that moment when the child is being born, as Rashi said, and you can just send a little bit of that rainbow plasmas and kind of surround this child even before it comes out of the womb, and it will already have enough of the protection. So the process of kind of like, the child opening its eyes for the first time, seeing these confusing voices speaking reversed languages, the process shouldn't be as traumatizing as it is right now.
Definitely, definitely. Especially you can also help your, if you have indigo children,
Yeah.
especially type 3.
Yes, because your daughter is an indigo type 3, right?
Yes, actually it's all indigo 3s, it's a very high contract. uh uh you have to know that in the body you have two avatars operating. I mean, two souls. One ascended or Christic avatar, and the other one, it's a Nephilim avatar that decided to follow the Christ path and to heal. So your child, or even an adult type 3 indigo, is carrying a very high contract, which is very difficult, and it shows as polarity in the behavior. It can show as autism. It can show as physical issues like the spleen, or drugs, or a lot of, they have, it's very hard for them to deal with 3D life and managing two souls, like it's, they are literally fighting inside the same body. So it's very difficult. Be kind to them, and honor this contract that many indigo children type 3 they don't make it. They just stop. They just decide to stop the experience because it's very hard, and the institutions, the society, they don't help them. They give them drugs to numb them, because they think something is not right with them because they cannot fit in this society. But we need to understand that it's the society that is wrong, not these children. So just be gentle, be kind, and honor these contracts
Are
they
there
are
any
carrying.
specific ways in which you are helping your indigo free child?
Can you tell me again, please?
I was asking if there are any specific ways in which you assist your daughter who is like an indigo free, because I think that such child needs a lot of, it needs to be heard, especially. Its needs may be a little bit different, but actually they are very sensitive to the environment. They pick up a lot of imprints from other people, so they might be a little bit of socially awkward as well, right?
Yes, and so I just helped her to get out of the school system. So she's homeschooled. So it gave her a lot of freedom to be, just to be, because she used to be bullied at school. She has this anxiety and she can't understand why. So I try to explain to her that how she is, she's like a sponge. Wherever she goes, wherever she is, she's picking a lot of emotions around her and frequencies from the grid she is in. So I just try to explain to her that some emotions that she's maybe she's going through, that she needs to make the difference between her own emotions and maybe emotions that not are not hers, that she's picking from people around her in a supermarket or in I don't know, at school, in the street. um, and I finally remember I told you that she refuses any technique, but finally she's using the pink bubble because uh, one night she came to my room and I was doing the pink bubble with her brother, and she said, ah, interesting, I'm gonna try with you. And normally she had the issues to sleep at night, with all the astral work, etc., and the nightmares. But that night, I mean, she slept the whole night, and I heard her snoring. In the morning, she was like, "Wow, it's been a long time. I didn't sleep this way." And I told her, "You know why?" She said, "Yeah, I know. It's the pink bubble." So now she knows that to sleep well, she needs the pink bubble, and it works.
It's a very simple technique, so I think that's something very fun for children to actually try and to pick up very peaceful frequencies. So, so for me to get like a relatively peaceful night, I always do the love bubble before going to sleep, and then after waking up, it's kind of like it helps to clear a lot. It's also working in a similar way as the rainbow plasma, because it also assists with different type of purification. So um,
Yes,
that's one of the things. Okay, so
yes.
we've got two more things to go through. We kind of went off the topic, but I think that's actually a way good to a good way to go through a conversation. So
But I think that the indigo type 3 children, it's a very interesting topic to dedicate like one session, because we have a lot of indigos since the 2000. There are a lot of indigos that need help right now, everywhere.
yes, it's a new type of a generation. Those who incarnated after the 2000, that's already like they incarnated during the stellar activation cycle. So actually, and after the 2012, we've got this Panclera generation. So it's even kind of like these children that will start to create this new Earth along with us. So so it's definitely good to talk about it and how to approach such children, because they can be often misunderstood by others.
And they
Um,
have a vision, they have other perspective on things, and they have very christic visions. When you give them time to talk, I mean, you say, I mean, they are christic by nature.
Exactly. Just beautiful souls.
Yes.
Okay, so when we think about, okay, what if I feel like I am a Nomi code carrier? What does it mean for me? What kind of responsibility do I have? I would say that the Nomi code carrier is kind of like a guardian of the whole planet. The whole planet is the home of a Nomi code carrier. So if you ever get a feeling like just to go outside and kind of ground yourself and send some frequencies from the Earth core up to the sky, to the grids, that's something that you should definitely do. The Nomi code carriers, they actually do the grid work all the time. They are not even aware of it. For me, having a car ride is a challenge because it's like my crown chakra is just becoming very, very white, and it's just like spreading this rainbow all over the place. um, so it's interesting when I'm in a car or in the plane. Um, there's always something coming up with that. So those who are very sensitive to different frequencies also coming to the grids. With the activation of the rainbow reservoirs in 2015, many people might be having this Nomi code activated even without really doing any activations. And later on, when something like this happens, like a planetary level activations, they get sensitive to it. So they are kind of like all the time the guardians of this planet on different levels. Um, do you have any kind of methods or kind of like the ways of spreading the frequency to the planet?
Actually, before I go out, I do my prayer, the Krystar River host prayer. I do the Effie prayer, and I activate my bubble, whether the rainbow bubble or the pink love bubble, and I set the intention. I set the encryption of the thoughts that wherever I go, I'm gonna exchange and spread these frequencies to whomever need it without violating any free will. So I just set this intention, and even if I forget about it, I know I have this knowing that wherever I go, I'm spreading these frequencies to earth, to the grids, to people, because since we are energy, energy is consciousness and consciousness is energy. Wherever you go, whenever you talk to someone, there is an energy exchange. So I set this intention that in my case, what I'm going to exchange with people is going to be these frequencies.
Beautiful. I think
Yes, that's it.
that's the best way to be, to just be kind of like a frequency pillar, a wave runner for those who actually need this frequency at a certain moment. So even if just like you smile to somebody when you're at the bus, or just like do a small nice favor to somebody, it's actually that's the way our energies are interacting. So that's simple, but that's something extremely beautiful.
And I do something very weird also.
Okay, want to share?
I hug trees.
Well, that's not weird at all, I think.
Yeah,
It's
but
kind of
where
the
I
open
live, it's
community
kind
that's
of
listening
weird.
to us. So
So I go whenever I find a tree, I hug it, and I ask for permission to have some frequencies, and I just give the tree frequencies. And I have this one tree in a park next the Chateau de Versailles. I have this one big, very old tree that they brought from Peru. And when I remember when we did the journey to Elisa Field or something like this,
mhm.
um, I had this connection with this tree. So anytime I feel like I need to recharge, I go to sit next to this tree, and I know that there is a frequency or energy exchange between, and I know that the tree is gonna spread it through the roots to other trees, since they are all connected actually. And I do this also with water.
Beautiful.
I do it with water, I do it with food, I do it with medicine. If I have to give my children paracetamol or something, I put frequency in it. I send sparks to my cats. I send sparks to my children sometimes when they are away, just to be sure that they are protected. Uh, and sometimes I send a ball of energy, plasma energy, to the earth core with just beautiful thoughts to anyone.
That's a way to communicate with this planet.
Yes.
Um, the planet is always listening, and the planet has actually offered us a wonderful gift. Shortly after the split, I would like to share this exciting news with everyone because I think that in this current mess that is happening all over the world, which I have no idea about since I haven't been watching the news for like 2 weeks now. So I have no idea what's going on, but I know what's going on energetically. So just a small message out here. When I said that the first rainbow reservoirs activated in 2015, that actually took place in Switzerland, Interlaken. That's like the first area where these rainbow reservoirs got activated. But actually now, basically after the Nomi seed fully overrides the Tia seed in the earth core, which is like this really bad one causing the dark flower affliction as well, it will basically start blasting frequencies. The Nomi seed will start blasting frequencies to different areas of the planet. And this will activate their rainbow reservoirs. So just like we will start to get more and more rainbow upgrades, that's why the Guardians wanted me to talk about the rainbow plasmas and the Nomi code, is because these frequencies will literally be going also through our templates. But also certain codes correspond to certain grid areas, so there might be some of us actually activating some of these places. So they actually gave me like a list of a few places where it's gonna happen. And it could be also related, it is actually related to some of the aurora lights that recently we've been seeing on the sky. It was so beautiful, and they still appear actually. This is, the scientists are saying that this is because of the increased sun activity that is taking place every 20 years or something like that. But that's not exactly the case. Actually, we are experiencing something very special because these are literally the cosmic rays that are coming from the sun to this planet, and that's how they are out picturing. And the places where the rainbow reservoirs may be activated, and they are all over the world, but kind of like the bigger ones. They told me that it's on the south of Sweden. It's also in Norway, right on the north, on Spitsbergen. We also have Mexico, south of France. So you might get some grid work commission as well to activate them in France as a Nomi
I
code
would love
area.
to.
And we also have one in Greece on the island called Paxos, and also in Cornwall in UK. So these are the main places where these rainbow reservoirs might get activated progressively, because it's kind of like a process that may take quite a while for them to fully get activated, but that's going to take place along with the clearing of the grids. We'll have the opportunity to catch more of these rainbow frequencies and eventually maybe experience like a beautiful rainbow sky or something like that that could be seen all over the world. Okay, so we are almost like 1 hour and 10 minutes live. So is there any kind of message you would like to share to the viewers before we finish?
Wow. This question. Um, well, I think we are learning or going toward or returning to innocence. the human being, the angelic human, or any being that is on earth now and living um, this amazing experience, we are returning slowly to innocence, where we remember what we came here to do and take responsibility and take action, and know that we call it Mother Earth. And yes, it's our Mother Earth, it's our Merkaba, it's our ship that is taking us, and it's going with or without us, is going back to its original encryption. And I think we are going to experience what is being an angelic human, what is being um, a particle or a note of God's symphony. And yes, in this symphony, sometimes there are what we call false notes. But just remember that even the false notes are part of this symphony, and it's the most extraordinary symphony you could ever hear in your life or lifetimes. So just enjoy the music, and remember that you are part of God's source and you can never be out of it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. I think that many people found your experiences very inspiring. So thank you for joining me tonight. It's been so lovely having you here. And
Thank
we are
you.
basically experiencing, I don't like to say a mass awakening, but there are some people connecting. There are some people awakening to their missions right now. So it's wonderful to be able to connect with such people. And if you basically start to attract people who are also kind of searching for their own purpose, feel like there is something more behind this 3D hologram, that means you are on the right track. You might be actually starting to attract more and more people like this. So it's an amazing time of transition, I would say, where one day we'll wake up and we'll be already on the Araya Earth. So maybe with this beautiful accent, I'm going to finish tonight's show. Thank you to everybody watching us. And
Thank you,
I'll
Olivia.
see you guys next week. Have a wonderful beginning of the week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.